minutes to 7. I am on my way into work. Today is Friday, June 5th, and I have my middle son flying in from South Carolina today. This morning, he's just boarded his flight. He's here till Monday. We have a wedding to go to tomorrow. I don't know if I'll get a chance to see him today or not, because when he gets in, I know he's got to go to the rehearsal for the wedding. They're doing a luncheon instead of a rehearsal dinner. He's got to pick up his tux before they close at 5 o'clock, and then he's having dinner with his grandparents. So I hope I get to see him maybe later, but we'll definitely have the day tomorrow, and we'll have the day on Sunday. Sunday is my mother's birthday, so we are heading up to the Adirondacks to have lunch and walk around a little bit, and so that it's going to be a great weekend. I don't believe there's supposed to be any rain, so that's always good. Now I'm hitting a little bit of traffic. I haven't driven my car in, I don't know, I haven't driven it in probably 2 or 3 weeks. My son drove it, so it did get driven, but when it sits for like a week, and it has, usually the tires get kind of a little bit of a flat spot on them. Not to where you can tell visually, but you can feel it when you drive it. And it's noisy, like the brakes kind of get rusty, and but I've been driving my daughter's car because she's got a Honda Civic, and it's just better on gas with these gas prices lately. And so we got a car pulled over. That's why I think we're hitting traffic. So I bought a new camera for vlogging, so I wouldn't have to use my phone or feel like I'm tied to my desk to use the computer. I also bought a set of lapel mics. They should plug into the camera, so that'll be a nice little setup. I bought a really cheap mic set, so I don't know how good it's going to be. We'll give it a shot. And it's one of those mic sets that plugs into either your camera or your phone. I can't use it on my phone because I've got an issue with the port on my phone. It's the only thing on my phone that's not working, and I have I think it's a 14 iPhone. I should go get it looked at. If I want to upgrade my phone, it's going to only be like $75, like totally. But being that the port's the only issue, I have a charger that I just put my phone on, kind of set it down, the magnet part on the back. And as long as I don't use the phone to try to plug in the mics or whatever, I don't really need to upgrade right now, so I'm holding off on that. The sun, I know, is not the greatest. So I guess I'm going to go for now, because this whole visual thing with the sun behind me is not great. I will check in with you guys later. So I am making this market bag, and I'm going to try and do this. This is where the top of the bag is going to be. We're going to have a handle come up over this way, and then obviously the mesh bag. I love this color, but I have to say, as I was making this, I was thinking this would be such a cute top. Like, seriously, that neckline with a netting shirt, like, that's so super cute. So I may design something, and I just wanted to kind of document the fact that this is where the inspiration came from. Hello, and long time no talk. I hope that you can hear me okay, because there's a lot of traffic and I have neighbors, and so I'm not gonna talk too loud today. I do know that I need to do a new intro video because I noticed the one that I posted is so old that it's not really accurate anymore. So we will be doing that probably this weekend is my guess. Let me show you what I'm making. So this is a market bag. Here's the netting. Basically, I love the color. I think it's pretty cool. I'm gonna stop this video so I can test the volume and make sure it's okay, and then we will continue. Okay, we're good. All right, so I've been working on this for, let's see, today is Tuesday. I don't know, mid to late last week, or was it the weekend I started it? It's been a few days. Normally I can bang these out in 2 days. I say bang these out. I've only done one besides this one. And it was a whole different type of a pattern. This one's way easier. And the other one that I didn't even watch the pattern on YouTube. I watched a video and then just decided I would try it on my own, and it wasn't too bad except for the handles. It was actually last year I did a pride bag, so yeah, that was kind of a waste almost. It came out cute, but just not really functional because it wasn't with cotton yarn. And so anyway, we're trying one for real now. And so getting back to, I gotta pause here and there because I want to make sure I don't mess this up, because it is my first one of this pattern, and I'm getting to the end where I will need to start the handle. So what was I saying before? So I do need to do a new intro video. I think the one that I did, I guess it was last summer maybe. Not entirely positive if that's when it was. I'll have to double check it, but info has changed. So back to this. I'll just kind of tell you about my day and my life and what's coming up, and these are going to be little chat sessions. You get to know me, I get to know you. You ask some questions, I ask some questions. So today is Tuesday. I was able to get out of work a little early because I had to go to a dermatology appointment. I had a little biopsy taken, so I should know something in a couple of weeks. Okay, now we get to the point where I have to do a chain. I think it's 75. So I will do 75, and then we'll see how long that is, and then go from there. I'm going to pause you again for 1 second because I need to count my chains. Okay, we're back. I ended up doing 80. Should be fine. So we will see. Again, this is the first one that I've followed a pattern for and that I've tried, so this will be trial and error. So getting back to what I was saying, so I went to the dermatologist. I actually went to a different dermatologist about a month ago and had a full body scan, and everything looked fine. I brought up the fact that I had a mole that was attracting my attention, and I didn't really know why. I didn't know if it was because it was changing in size and shape, or if I just was getting older and paying closer attention to my body. I wasn't really sure, but the size wasn't big or anything like that. It was just the shape, I think, more than anything, that was a little weird. So anyway, I went to that dermatologist, and she basically said, come back in a month and we will take a scraping and send it out for testing. So when I got home, my mother was like, no, they should have done it then and there. So then she didn't like that dermatologist, so she called a different dermatologist and set up an appointment for me. So this time around, I didn't have to do a full body. I just had them look at it. They agreed it was a little suspicious. So they did a scraping, and I should know something in about 2 weeks or less. And then I think what happens is, if it's not cancerous, we're fine. And if it's cancerous, then I schedule another appointment to come in and have a deeper cut out removal, I guess, or something like that. So so that's that. So we will see what happens there. And today's the 16th of June. I have Friday off, which is awesome. My oldest son and his wife and their 2 cats are staying with me and have been since February, and they finally moved out on Friday. So I took Monday off so I would have a nice long weekend, because Saturday I will end up going to my boyfriend's until Sunday morning, and then I'll come back here, and then I'll have Sunday to clean, and then I wanted Monday to just do any finish cleaning and or relax and crochet. And I hope it's a nice day, but I don't know. So that's my plan for the upcoming few days. I know I mentioned in some previous videos, some of the older ones, even though I uploaded them recently, they are all from last year. I hadn't done any real recent videos, so we're kind of starting from scratch again, but I figured I would at least put up the older ones, because why not? But last summer my mother was staying with me. She lives in Florida during the winter. I usually will go there to visit them, her and my stepfather, usually in March, for about a week and a couple days. And she comes back here to New York by herself because she doesn't like the heat there, and he didn't want to come back with her. So this is the second year that she's done it. And I think she got in May 31st this year. And she usually stays with me, but so far this year she's not, because she is staying with my uncle, who lives in their family home that they grew up in. I think he's gonna be 80 or 81. But he's having some sciatica nerve issue or something, and he's having, I think, some depression, and he does live alone. So we're trying to decide now what we should do as far as he's concerned. So right now she just wants to stay with him and figure everything out, make sure he takes care of himself, and just kind of see if, you know, we need to look into long-term care or what. So she may come and stay here for a little while before she heads back to Florida, and I believe her plan is to go back to Florida third week of October, I think. So after this weekend, I will have the house back to myself again. My daughter is away at college. She's coming home on July 22nd to visit for 2 weeks, and then she'll be going back. And my middle son is getting married. They're doing a really small, quick wedding because he's retired Navy and he's re-enlisting and now going into the Air Force, and so they wanted to do this marriage thing before he re-enlisted and kind of was shipped off. So as soon as my daughter pretty much leaves New York, I will be flying down to South Carolina to attend that. And I think what we're doing is we're just getting an Airbnb for everybody who's gonna be at the wedding, because it's really just family, and do that for a couple days, which sounds kind of cool actually. So that's exciting. And then my mother booked a long weekend up in Lake George, which is a pretty big attraction for upstate New York, for the July 4th weekend. So for the first time in a while, we'll be able to go see fireworks, although that's a lie. We went locally to see fireworks last year. We didn't stay for all of them because my daughter was home visiting, and I think her friend got sick or something, and they ended up leaving early, but my mother and I stayed, but then we felt guilty that we stayed, so we ended up leaving before they really finished. So we got to see some, but that'll be fun this year, to have that getaway with my mom. Probably do some shopping and some walking around, and at least we'll be able to see fireworks and walk right to them. So I'm looking forward to that. And then I think also in July, one of my mother's cousins is having a birthday party, so it's just kind of a barbecue thing at some pavilion. So we will be doing that. We had one at the same place last year for my great aunt, and I want to say she was turning 96 or something, and now she's had cancer, but they've been controlling it, and now I think she's so far gone. This week I heard actually they called in hospice for her, so it got into her lungs and everything, and so she's ready. But I'm glad we got to have that party last year for her, and that I got to see her, because that was the first time I had seen her in, I don't know, at least 10 years, if not more. Getting to a certain section on here where I've got to go back up the other side to do the chain again, I believe. In front of me is kind of our main roadway, so that's why I kind of look at it a lot when I'm hearing vehicles go by. let me know what you're working on. And have you made a market bag before? And do you have a pattern that you like? There's a few different ones out there. I think the one that I made last year was an entirely different kind of a pattern, because it had an actual crochet bottom or base to it, whereas this one doesn't. This one's just completely mesh. So, which I do kind of like the idea of that, but I will say this one is so much easier. Actually, that one wasn't, it's not like that one was hard, but this one is just like, you know, you do 6 rows of single crochet mesh, and then 6 rows of single crochet again. And aside from the handle, that's kind of the extent of it. So, not bad. Alright, I think we now have to do our 80 chains. I have a chipmunk that's kind of going a little wild behind me here. I had a bird feeder that last year when I took it in, I just set it in my garage. And this year I took it out of the garage and just hung it on the hook, and still had the bird seed in it from last year, which was probably wet and rotted. And so I had it hanging out, and then I decided probably should empty it and refill it. So I cleaned it, and now it's air drying in the sun. But I took all the old seed and emptied it into the woods. So I think that's what the chipmunk is doing. Alright, we are going to do our chain, and I need to count. Alright, we are back on track. So, I'm trying to decide what I want to make after this. I do have another multicolored cotton yarn that's like a white and lime green. So I think I am gonna probably start another one of these. I am always making more than one project at a time because sometimes I'm not in the mood to work on one thing and I just want to focus on something else. So I might start that because I do want to, since these are easy, I do want to try and make some bulk products to possibly do a craft fair, and it's probably going to be for next year. I don't think I'm going to try and do anything for this year. And it's so funny, excuse me, because I was watching some of the videos that I had posted from last June, and I was saying the exact same thing about making product and doing a craft fair in the fall, but I definitely am going to wait till next year. And I don't know if I want to do a spring because it's always wet and chilly, so I think I'm going to give myself plenty of time to really make a lot of product and do fall of next year. I'm not saying this year is out of the question. Depends on how much product I can make by then, and if it's too late to get into one of the markets. I will look into it and see. I do have an easy up already. If it's fall, it might be an indoor. I know there's one in particular that is outdoors. I wouldn't want to do it without having a couple of side panels, so I would have to get those. But I do have, my boyfriend Bob is making the weights for me. We picked up, I think last summer we picked up the cement and a couple of, I think they're metal containers, little pails, because I was thinking about doing it last year. So he's gonna probably this week or within the next week or so mix that up and at least get those ready for me. And so those will be ready to go, and then I'll just have to look into how soon I guess I can enroll or sign up for a fall market, because I do need to make sure that if I do a fall market, I've really got to find the product that not only is going to work up kind of quickly, but that is going to sell. So the market bags are definitely going to be something, because like I said, I think I can bang those out in 2 to 3 days. I haven't really spent much time trying to make hats, and I know a lot of people like to make those and they can go pretty fast. So I do want to spend some time on some tutorials to try and master, you know, a couple beanies, a couple of regular like ski hats. I'd like to do matching sets with like maybe a ski hat and a scarf, or a beanie and a scarf, something like that. When I do hats and scarves, I kind of like to do earth tones, because I feel like they're neutral and they'll go with most people's coats. But if I do kid ones, I do like to go with color. So that is on the agenda. I made one shawl last year, and it was very easy. I'm not a shawl person as far as the type of shawl that I made. I made, you know, a triangular one, and I think for myself, I would much rather have a rectangular scarf that just kind of drapes across my back and across my arms. I don't like the triangular ones because I feel like the corners that come down by your arms are not long enough, unless maybe the one that I made, I just made it too small. So I do want to try a rectangular one. And I am going to set my yarn up in my room again. Right now, I have everything in totes in the garage, and it's very inconvenient because I have a ton of yarn and I really can't get to everything. Well, I can get to it, but I can't like see it all at a glance. So I can't like go in there and be like, what yarn do I want to use today? So I need to get that all set up, but I'm probably going to do that. My hope is to do that this weekend, between Sunday and Monday. Trying to think now, because I'm helping my son move out of the bedroom, the spare bedroom, well, my daughter's old bedroom, on Friday. And I wanted to shampoo that rug before I put the original bed back in there for my daughter. So if I shampoo that rug, I can probably shampoo that rug Saturday morning, then go to Bob's. So that is got a full day to air out. Then I'm gonna need my son probably to come back to help me with the bed. It's in the garage, to bring that back up to the bedroom, unless I have Bob step over after work on Monday and help me, which might be better. I might do that. So if I bring the bed back up on Monday, as long as the rug is dry, I can bring the cubes up and load the yarn and just bring the bed in when I bring the bed in. So that's probably what I'll do. I have 2 sets of a dark brown wooden cube set, and then I have 1 white wooden cube set. The white is already in my room. The other 2 brown are in my laundry room. And then I have the metal mesh cubes, which I do not like. The wooden cubes that are in my laundry room are holding some like baking supplies, pie dishes, baking pans, things like that. And my thought is that they're nicer. I would much rather bring them up and use them for my yarn in my room. And then I can use the wire mesh for the baking stuff. Because I do have baskets that will go into those cubes, so it'll make it look like everything's put away and you don't really see everything. So but I don't know if I want to put the white wooden cubes with the brown ones. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I was talking about putting the yarn in the spare bedroom. Why would I do that? I'm not doing that. It's going in my room. It used to be in that room. I think that's why I was thinking that. So, because when I put the yarn in my room, I have to move a bookcase from my room to the spare room. So, that's kind of my tentative plan right now. And then I've got to figure out how I'm going to organize my yarn, because I have way more yarn than the cubes will hold. So I need to decide what yarn is not going to be out. I think what I'll do is I'll take my Bernat super bulky yarns and I will keep them in totes, but I will keep them in that room. And I'll probably put them in the closet in that room, so they're not like out. And so that will be the plan. I'm making sure that this chain is not twisted, because they said to be very careful of that. So let's see. Everybody coming home from work, that's for sure. Alright, I think I hope this does not get twisted. I think we're alright. It's so hard working into a chain. I mean, this is not going to be perfect, but it is going to be the best that we can do. went to a flea market with my mother this past Saturday, and I got a flag, not a regular typical flag, it's these colors don't run kind of a flag. I think it says these colors don't run, they reload or something like that. And I have a flagpole that's kind of buried in the woods over here. I'll show it to you. It's gonna kind of be like, where's Waldo? You'll have to see if you can see it. So, I'm gonna bring you a little closer maybe. All right. The other thing I noticed on my video was that I kept going back and forth with the channel name of Adirondack Stitch and Lakeside Stitch, and I was in the process of filing my DBA, or not my DBA, DBA and LLC for Adirondack Stitch last summer, and I ended up spelling something wrong in the paperwork. So even though I paid for it, they retain the money until you come back and fix it, and it's been a year. So I'm going to go back and fix it, but I did decide to not use the Adirondack Stitch, to go back to the Lakeside Stitch, just because it's, you know, I have the Adirondacks and I'm all about the Adirondacks, and I have another channel called Adirondack Girl. But I just figured Lakeside is just a little bit more, less specific, I guess. You know, if I keep this channel going and I decide to retire to a different state, you know, I don't want to necessarily the Adirondacks. So that was the thought. Lakeside literally could be anywhere. And I have to finish that paperwork. It's literally within walking distance from my office, but I should just go on my lunch, because if I try to go after work, then I've got to bring my big backpack with me, which I don't want to do. So I don't know, but I got to get that done, mainly because I think the craft fairs want you to have a DBA to make sure you're a legit business. Although I think you can just be a sole proprietor, unless they have something against specifically being a sole proprietor, and they might. Really slow, because I don't want this chain to twist, and I feel like I'm going in sideways. Once, actually, yeah, I gotta do it again on the other one. So the other thing I want to get back to, once my son moves out this weekend, is cooking meals, because I've been having like charcuterie boards for myself up in my bedroom, and I'm kind of over that. So I do have a recipe for chicken parm stuffed peppers, and I also follow a keto diet, so I don't eat pasta or rice or bread. Usually my lunches at work, I bring a bowl of lettuce. I don't bother bringing like an actual salad, because I don't need tomatoes and cucumber. The lettuce is actually sufficient. I either put a protein on it, like chicken breast, which, you know, I usually buy a big pack of chicken breast, cook it on the grill, and then over the course of the week I have that on my salads. Or if I don't have chicken, I will bring cottage cheese and just have cottage cheese. So that's usually about it, because it's just easy and I am a creature of habit, so I'm okay with it. But for dinners, I do want to have my chicken parm stuffed peppers because they're pretty easy. You just cook the chicken and kind of shred it in a bowl. Add a little bit of spaghetti sauce, some mozzarella cheese, some Parmesan cheese. What else? And then you stuff the peppers after you obviously cut the peppers in half. Lay them in a baking dish. Then you take that mixture and you stuff the peppers and you cook it in the oven. That's really good. I think Saturday when I go to Bob's, I'm probably gonna make sausage and peppers to bring. I might just make it there actually, but that's what we'll probably have Saturday. And my uncle's taking my mother out for her birthday on Saturday, and they asked me if I wanted to go, but her birthday was last weekend, and my middle son was in from out of town because we had a wedding to go to, so we had a wedding to go to last Saturday, so actually, I'm a liar. It wasn't this past weekend, it was the weekend before. Her birthday was the 7th, so we had a wedding on that Saturday, and then Sunday the 7th I took her out to lunch with my son. And then this past weekend was when I went to the flea market on Saturday with my mother, and then went out to Bob's Saturday night and came home Sunday. And a lot of times Bob and I will have a fire, so when we do another one, I will post a couple of pictures or a video or whatever. That's a lot of fun. And so I'm very excited for this weekend, just to kind of have Sunday and Monday to clean the house and crochet and get things back in order again. I've been trying to sell a bunch of stuff on Facebook just to kind of thin out my garage. I had a Peloton bike that I got rid of. I have a brand new leather jacket that I spent probably $350 on, that I'm trying to sell for like, well, I think I have it listed for $200. I mean, I literally wore it 4 times. So that's not, I mean, it's not really the season for it, let's be fair. I listed it in the spring, hoping that anybody who rode motorcycles would want it for the spring, but no such luck. So hopefully in the fall, we have another chance again. I have a gravel bike, which is, like a cycling road bike. I do like to ride, and the last time I tried to list it, I got seller's remorse, and I unlisted it. I could probably get $1,500 to $1,800 for it. It's a really nice bike. I just don't ride it that often. And even though I don't ride it that often and I love it, I feel like I should keep it, but the money also sounds nice, so I don't know. I love that bike. I just don't ride it. So I did sell a lot of the stuff that I had for it. Like I had a Garmin GPS thing for it, so that it, and with wheel sensors, so it would track my speed, my mileage, elevation, all of that. I did sell that with the sensors, and I have my bike pump for sale, which is one that you mount to your bike. I never mounted it. I never took it out of the box. I also had some other motorcycle gear that I sold. I used to have a Harley. I never rode it out on the road. I got my motorcycle endorsement and got myself a bike, and then realized it really was dangerous, and so sold the bike, and now I am selling off pieces of the remaining stuff I bought for the bike. These stitches are a little tight. So I am just kind of thinning out the garage and getting rid of the stuff that I know I'm never going to use again. I'm just really excited to get the yarn back up to my room so I can look at the yarn and get inspiration. But I'm trying to figure out, I think I am going to start that other green and white market bag, like the lime green, and try to find some tutorials on some different hats, get those started. I would like to make a rectangular shawl, because that, I'm a big blanket maker. I love making the blankets. My issue is that they're more time consuming, so I'm going to have less product. I will do some, because the granny stitch goes really, really fast, so I definitely will make some of those. But if I can get the rectangular shawls to be kind of quick, then I can put some of those out. And the other thing that I really wanted to try to make is just a basic teddy bear, something that's not complicated, that's cutesy, because kids always want stuff like that. You don't see a lot of those out at market. There's just a lot of the amigurumi, but not like a basic teddy bear, and nothing too big either. I've never really tried the amigurumi. It just doesn't really interest me, and I just feel like a lot of markets out there just do so much of it that you don't need one more person. I'd rather stick to the hats, blankets, scarves, shawls, that sort of thing. I do have 2 baby blankets that I made for a friend, and I haven't seen her, so it's like a year later, and I still have them. Not really sure if I'm gonna give them to her or not. Kind of on the fence with how I feel about her right now. There's another blanket that I made for her as well, and just not, had some, well, there's a backstory there. I'm not going to get into it, but I do have a baby blanket that I just finished actually on Sunday. I will post a picture of that. Not my best work, but it was kind of like a scrappy blanket, if you will, because I had a multicolored baby yarn, and I will post the videos and the pictures after this video. And I was really just trying to use up that, so I used it up as like the center of the baby blanket, and then added a solid color on either side. So I don't know if I'm going to sell that or donate that or what. It's not something I would want to give to anybody that I know as a gift, because like I said, I'm not super proud of it. If it's a donation, I'd be okay with it. So we'll see what ends up happening with that. All right, we finally made this round, and that is not twisted, which is awesome. I don't think it would be a huge deal if it was, but it is 5:24, and it's such a gorgeous day. But I think I'm going to end this video here, and it's probably already going to be a long video because if I attach the other baby blanket stuff onto the end of this one, it's going to be a little long. But let me know what you are working on. Let me know if you like these sit and chat and crochet with me videos, and hopefully there'll be more to come now that I will have the house back to myself, and hopefully the traffic in the background's not too much, and hopefully you can hear my voice. All right, I will talk to you guys later. Hello. We are starting a new blanket. No, not blanket. Why did I say that? Because I make blankets all the time. We are starting a new market bag. This is the colorway Pear Ombre. So the other one that I am making, I stopped because I'm just about out of my last skein, and I figured I just put it up in my bedroom. I'll finish that tonight. I wanted to start this since I am outside because it's nice out and I'll have to go in soon. But I figured while I started this, I would do my intro video. So if you watched my last video, I said that I was gonna probably do a new one, and I just figured I might as well do it now. Because I have to check this. Because my other one was, I think, from a year ago at least, and needs to be updated because a lot has changed. But I have to check the video on this market bag really fast, and then I'll be right back. Okay. So I'm not gonna go on camera, and I'm laying in bed watching YouTube, and I'm going to apologize for the legs. But no, in all seriousness, I want to just show what I'm making here. So that's, I guess, the length. That's the length. And as usual, I tend to make blankets a little too wide. And so, like, this, yeah, it's a little long for it to be a baby blanket. So I think what I am going to do is I'm going to add white on both sides so that as it gets to be at its permanent length, this will actually be the center, and then there'll be white on either side. And I kind of like when this happens, really, because it makes the blanket a little unique. You're going to have this kind of multicolored in the center with the white on either side, and I don't think you really see that a lot. So I'm happy, I guess, that it happened this way. But yeah, so I just wanted to show that to you, and when the product is finished, I'll show that as well. Thanks for watching. I forgot to mention that this is all that I have left of this color, which is why I'm planning to do the white on either end to elongate the blanket. Now, I could do any other color that's in here, like a soft pink, this greenish color, maybe a really soft yellow. And I still may do that actually. I'm not really going to know until I'm done with this color and I start taking some of my stash and comparing it and see what I feel is a good match, a good color match. I mean, maybe it's not white, maybe it's cream, maybe it's, I don't know. I don't think cream, but you never know. So I'll make the determination later, but I did just want to kind of show you what I had left. It's possible I have more of this. I'm pretty sure I don't. But if I do, I'll let you know. But I don't think that I do. I'm pretty sure that I collected all that I had and rolled it. Because again, I think the whole reason I started this project was to kind of use up some yarn that I had, and that's why this project got started. So if that is in fact all I have, then we will go on to a solid color on either end, and that will be I guess to be determined at this point. So I have a little bit of an update. I have decided that I'm going to do cream next to this multicolor. I decided to do a single crochet for that cream, and the next color that I will be incorporating will be this green, and I don't know what the brand or color name was for the multicolor. I'll see if I can find it online, as far as whatever is close to this. But the cream and the soft green here are both Big Twist. Let's see what this colorway is. Mint is this green color, and I don't have the ball band for the cream right there. Even though those two solid colors are acrylic, this multi is not. It's definitely a little rougher on the hands. Not bad, but in comparison to the acrylic. So these are the color choices. I have not decided exactly what I'm doing just yet. I want to be able to have each color be a different stitch, but I don't know what I want to do as far as the pattern between the cream and the mint green. I'm going to probably figure that out as I go. And once I figure out what that pattern is going to be, then I probably will then just repeat that until I get to my length. So I should have plenty of both of these solid colors. So I guess as I work my way, I will do another update, and I'll give you some measurements later also. So I'm sitting outside. I don't know if you can hear me very well. The AC is on, which is right there. I have my drink. I'm sitting here with my project on my lap and my bag. And I've got to clean that table because it's all full of pollen. And I wanted to show you what I decided to do. So after this multicolor, we ended up doing a few rows of single crochet with the cream, and then I took this greenish mint color, and I guess they're kind of a bobble stitch of sorts, puff stitch, whatever. I would have to look it up to know exactly what it is, but I do like a different stitch for each color, and so far we got the double crochet, single, and this puff of sorts. So I'm not going to hold it up and show you everything at this point, but this is what we got going on so far, and I'll check in with you later.